The sun was setting behind the hills as Marcus approached the edge of the forest. In his pack were only essentials: a lantern, some food, and an old journal he had found in his grandfather's attic. The journal told of a city lost to time, a place called Lethara, known as the Silent City. Those who enter hear nothing but their own thoughts, his grandfather had once said. It's a place where forgotten souls linger, waiting for someone to remember them. Marcus didn't believe in ghost stories, but the idea of uncovering a lost city intrigued him. As a historian, he had spent years chasing myths, and Lethara was the most elusive of them all. The forest was dense, its shadows stretching longer as the light faded. The journal's map guided Marcus to a narrow path that wound deeper into the trees. The air grew colder, and an unnatural silence fell over the forest. "Too quiet," Marcus muttered, gripping his lantern tighter. Hours passed, and the trees began to thin. Ahead, the ground sloped downward into a misty valley. In the distance, faint shapes emerged, stone spires and crumbled walls barely visible through the fog. "Lethra," Marcus whispered. The city was real. As Marcus stepped into the city, a strange sensation washed over him. The world seemed muffled, as if the air itself refused to carry sound. His footsteps were silent, and even the crunch of gravel under his boots made no noise. Unbelievable, he thought, looking around. The streets were lined with crumbling buildings, their stone facades covered in moss and ivy. Statues stood at every corner, their faces worn smooth by time. Each one seemed to watch him, their eyeless gazes following his movements. Marcus approached one of the statues, running his hand over its surface. It was cold and damp, but something about it felt alive. As he explored further, he noticed inscriptions on the walls, written in a language he didn't recognize. He took out his notebook and began sketching the symbols. This place is ancient, he thought, his excitement growing. But the deeper he ventured into the city, the heavier the silence became. It pressed against him, filling his mind with a strange, buzzing sensation. Then he saw her. A figure stood at the far end of the street, cloaked in gray. She was motionless, her face obscured by a hood. "Hello," Marcus called, though no sound escaped his lips. The figure turned and began walking away. "Wait," Marcus tried again, running after her. She led him through narrow alleys and across deserted courtyards until they reached a massive archway carved with intricate designs. Beyond it was a grand plaza, at the center of which stood a towering obelisk. The figure stopped and pointed to the obelisk before vanishing into the mist. Marcus approached the obelisk cautiously. It was covered in the same strange symbols he had seen earlier, but these glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. As he touched the surface, a jolt of energy coursed through him. Images flashed in his mind, scenes of a bustling city, its streets alive with laughter and music. He saw people dancing, children playing, and markets filled with vibrant colors. Then, darkness. The images shifted to scenes of chaos. Earthquakes splitting the ground, fires consuming buildings, and figures fleeing in terror. Finally, silence. Marcus staggered back, his heart pounding. What happened to this place? He wondered aloud, though no sound accompanied his words. The journal in his pack felt heavier, as if calling to him. He opened it and flipped through the pages until he found a passage describing the obelisk. The heart of Lethara holds its secrets. To understand the silence, one must listen to the whispers of the forgotten. Marcus frowned. Whispers? How can I hear whispers in a place with no sound? As if in response, the symbols on the obelisk began to glow brighter. The air around him grew thick, and a faint voice echoed in his mind. "Remember us?" The voice was soft and sorrowful, yet it carried an overwhelming sense of urgency. "Who are you?" Marcus thought, hoping the voice could hear him. "We are the Forgotten," it replied. "Lethara was our home, and we were its people. But time and tragedy erased us. Only the obelisk remembers." The voice continued, guiding Marcus to place both hands on the obelisk. The moment he did, the ground beneath him trembled. The glowing symbols rose into the air, forming a circle around him. "You have the power to restore us," the voice said. "But it comes with a price." "What price?" Marcus asked. "You must become our keeper, the one who guards our memory. You will live here, bound to Lethara, and ensure we are never forgotten again." Marcus hesitated. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on him. He thought of the life he would leave behind, the friends, the career, the freedom. But he also thought of the people of Lethara, their vibrant city reduced to silence and shadows. "I'll do it," he said finally. "I'll become your keeper." The obelisk pulsed with light, and the symbols enveloped Marcus, filling him with warmth and sorrow. The statues around the city began to glow, their worn features becoming clear and lifelike. The silence lifted. The sound of wind rustling through the streets and birds chirping filled the air. The city felt alive again, though its people remained echoes. Marcus stood at the center of the plaza, the weight of his new role settling over him. From that day forward, travelers who stumbled upon Lethara spoke of a man who guarded the city. They said he walked the streets, his eyes filled with both wisdom and longing, ensuring the silent city and its people were never forgotten.